everyone, welcome to Daily News Simplified for the date 28th October 2023. So, in today's Daily News Simplified, we have taken these particular articles from the Hindu and Indian Express. The articles for prelims are listed here on the screen. The first article is regarding the POSCO Act 2012. The second, we will cover dark patterns and MCQ on dark patterns. Thirdly, we will cover Thallium. And fourthly, we will cover a MCQ regarding the government assent to a bill, like what is the procedure regarding it. And for mains, we have covered two topics which appeared on Indian Express. The first topic is regarding the issues in public distribution system. Okay. And the second topic is regarding the India-Qatar Relations. Okay. Now let's start today's discussion. Now, the first MCQ for today is inspired by this particular article which appeared on The Hindu. Now, this article says that there was a complaint by a member of Delhi Commission, by the member of POSCO division of Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights, that there is no working staff left in this POSCO division. So this is a sorry state in the implementation of POSCO Act. Now, inspired by this article, we have framed a question for prelims, right? And now this question, as we know that UPSC has been asking questions regarding important legislations or regarding important government schemes. So you can see in the year 2019, UPSC asked question regarding Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017. So let's start with first question for today, and it is on POSCO Act. The question states that consider the following statements with respect to the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. The first statement is, the Act lowered the age of consent from 18 years to 16 years. Now, this is an incorrect statement. Now, we know that primarily this Act aims to prevent children from sexual offences, okay, or to prevent the exploitation of children. So, as per this Act assumes any person with the age less than the age of 18 years, below the age of 18 year is a child, right? So this act, this raised the age of consent from 16 earlier to 18 now. So this is an incorrect statement. The second statement says that the complaint has to be made within 3 years of the occurrence of the crime. Now this is also an incorrect statement. Now the central government has said that the complaint regarding any crime which a child has faced, it can be made any type, and there is not a provision that this complaint has to be made within 3 years. Okay, so there is no any time limit regarding when this complaint has to be made. Now let's see the third statement, which says that the National Human Rights Commission monitors the implementation of POSCO Act. Now, this is an incorrect statement, as the implementation of this act is not overseen by National Human Rights Commission, but this is overseen by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR. Okay. So, as this question asked, how many of the above statements are correct? So, our right answer would be none, as all these statements are incorrect. Now, let's move to the second question for today. A second question is inspired by this news article, which also appeared on The Hindu. So, this news article, now we will come to this news article later. First, let's solve this question. In the year 2018, there was a question which was asked by UPSC regarding cyber crimes. Okay. Now, first let's solve this question. This question is regarding, consider the following statements with reference to dark patterns. The first statement says, dark patterns are user interface elements crafted to enhance user experience. Now, this is an incorrect statement. Why? As the name itself suggests, dark pattern cannot be anything that would be crafted to enhance user experience. This is what we can guess intuitively. But what are dark patterns? These are deceptive patterns. These are deceptive patterns, or you can say deceptive user interface elements, which are designed to manipulate or trick consumers or any people who are visiting any application or websites. Okay. Now, now first let's solve second statement. The statement says that the patterns are found in various digital interfaces, including websites and mobile applications. Now, this is a correct statement, as dark patterns are generally found in any online applications, in mobile applications or websites. Okay. Now, let's understand what are dark patterns. Have you seen such kind of interface in your computer screen or in your mobile interface? Say you want to enter any website and suddenly this window pops up and you were making any choice, you were confirming any icon, and unintentionally you click this icon, right? And then what happens is that you are directed to any third party website. So such kind of patterns which appear in your website, in your or in any application or in any online application which you are using are known as dark patterns, right? And what is the aim of this dark patterns? By these dark patterns, it is aimed to manipulate or trick users to do things which they don't intend to do. For example, buying some item by displaying threat like this icon here, okay, or by quoting prices lower earlier, and when you finally check out, you see different prices. Okay, so these are some kind of strategies which may be applied, and such kind of strategies as per the Consumer Protection Act 2019, that engagement in dark patterns by the Consumer Protection Act 2019 is a crime. Okay, so this was what was the news which says that dark pattern sales by the airlines or online agent will be deemed as cybercrime. Okay, and this is under the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Now let's proceed to our third MCQ for the day, and this MCQ is based on this particular article which appeared on The Hindu. The article was regarding helium. Now let's solve this question. Now we have taken this question because UPSC generally asks questions regarding some elements, some elements or discoveries which are in news. For example, previously UPSC asked question regarding graphene, and in the year 2021 UPSC asked question regarding magnetite particles. Okay, so helium was in news. So let's solve question regarding it. The first statement says it has very pungent smell leading to irritation in nose. Okay, as you have seen the article itself, the article says that odorless, tasteless, lethal. So no points for guessing. This is an incorrect statement, as this is odorless, tasteless, and colorless. Okay. Helium is an element which is helium is an element present in nature with atomic number 81, right? It is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, and it is very toxic in nature. And let's solve a second question, which says that there is no natural source of thallium contamination. Now this is an incorrect statement, as I already told you that thallium is found in nature as a natural source. Thallium as a natural source, it is found in volcanic activity. It can be also found in mineral ore. Actually, thallium is quite abundant in nature, but it does not exist in free or elemental state, and it is found in as ores generally. Okay, and apart from natural sources, there are also anthropogenic sources for thallium occurrence or thallium contamination. Basically, it is a toxic element, so it is a contaminant also, and this can be found in coal combustion and exhaust emissions, right? And the third point said that it can be spread through medium of air, water, and soil. Now this is the correct statement. As thallium contamination can be spread via air, via soil, and via water, and this toxic can be bioaccumulated in humans and other plants and animals. So the question asked how many of the above statement is or are correct. So the correct answer would be only one. Now let's move on to our final MCQ for today, which is regarding, which is inspired by this news article which appeared on The Hindu. So, in this news article, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has asked the President of India to give an assent to an anti-need bill which have been long pending regarding the assent of President of India. Now, based on this, now this theme is important regarding various parliamentary proceedings in polity. In the year 2013, we found this question which was regarding the discretionary power given to the governor of a state. Now, let us solve this question, which states that with reference to the state legislature, consider the following statements. Now, statement 1 says that the governor can return a money bill for the reconsideration of the state legislature. Now, this is an incorrect statement. So, first let's solve second statement. The second statement says that when a money bill is presented to the governor, he cannot reserve it for the presidential consideration. Now, this is also an incorrect statement. Now, let's see why. Now, in case of any ordinary bill, the governor of any state has 4 options. Either he can give assent to the bill, or he can withhold his assent to the bill, right? Or he can return the bill to the state legislature for reconsideration, or the governor can reserve the bill for president, right? For president to give assent to the bill. So these are the 4 options the governor has regarding the ordinary bill. But what happens in the case of money bill is that a money bill is introduced in any state legislature with prior permission of the governor. So in the first case, governor cannot return a money bill for reconsideration of state legislature, but governor can return an ordinary bill for reconsideration. Okay, that's why the first statement is incorrect. Now, if we talk about second statement, when a money bill is presented to the governor, he cannot reserve it for the president's consideration. This is an incorrect statement because governor can reserve this bill for the recommendation of, for the reconsideration of president, right? So neither one. So the right answer is neither 1 nor 2, as both statements are incorrect. Now this was regarding the questions for our prelims examination. Now let's see 2 important articles which appeared in today's Indian Express. Now the first article for the day was now the first news article which we will discuss today is based on this article which appeared on the Indian Express. Now this news article is regarding a scam in public distribution system which happened in West Bengal. Now such kind of spams in public distribution system is quite common, and it has generally been a regular occurrence now. So this brings us to the topic of today, which is what are the issues in public distribution system, right? Now this topic is important for our GS paper 3. Under the syllabus head, GS paper 3 economy, under the syllabus head, issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies and minimum support prices. Public distribution system, it's mentioned here, objectives, functioning, limitations, revamping, issues of buffer stocks and food security. Now, if we see the previous year questions, we have seen that some questions, UPSC has asked questions regarding this theme, and some questions we picked today. As in the year 2022, we found this question, which was, what are the major challenges of public distribution system in India and how it can be made effective and transparent? So this was regarding the major challenges of PDS system, which we are going to discuss today. In 2021, we found a question regarding the salient features of National Food Security Act of 2013. Okay, and in the year 2019, we found a question regarding the reformative steps taken by the government to make food grain distribution system more effective. Okay, now before starting this question, this article, let's first understand what is public distribution system. Public distribution system is the largest welfare scheme by any government of the world. Okay, now it is a food security system. And how does it aim to ensure food security? The public distribution system aims to ensure food security by providing subsidized food grains, okay, to some targeted beneficiaries. Now, this is the mandate of National Food Security Act 2013. This is also known as Right to Food. So, under this act, the central government is mandated to employ public distribution system in order to ensure food security and nutritional security, okay, to the targeted population. The aim of National Food Security Act is to provide food security to two-thirds of Indian population, which is 50% of which covers 50% of urban population, and this covers 75% of rural population, right? And now let's see what is the operational procedure of public distribution system. So the regarding the operation of public distribution system, it is the joint responsibility of central government and state government. For this, the responsibility of central government is regarding procurement, storage, and transportation. Now, what the central government does is that central government central government procures the food grains from farmers or FPOs, and this central government procures food grains and gives farmers minimum support price, right? And then what the central government does it? Central government stores this food grains and then transport these food grains to various states of India, right? So this is the responsibility of central government to transport these food grains to various states of India. Okay. Storage. So right. So there are three legs to this scheme, which is procurement, storage, and transportation. So under central government, Food Corporation of India. This is a statutory body. This ensures the procurement of food grains, right? And now, what is the responsibility of state government? The responsibility of state government is to transport these food grains to the fair price shops or to the ration shops. Okay, and and from these ration shops, this food grains is distributed, or the consumers can buy these food grains from the ration shops, right? In the central issued price, CIP, and central government sells these food grains to the state governments in central issued price, CIP. FCI is the procurement agency. So these are the basics behind the public distribution system, right? And now, since we understood the basics, let us see what are the issues in the implementation issues of public distribution system. Now, regarding the first issue, we see that the first major issue is regarding procurement. As we already discussed, there are three legs to this scheme. The first leg is procurement. Okay, so the first issue regarding here is that presently there is an open-ended procurement, right? So what is open-ended procurement in PDS system? Under this system, if any farmer comes to the central government or comes to the FCI to sell his food grains, there is no limit. There is no limit. There is no limit to the procurement which the government can take. That is, government can procure any amount of food grains and in the MSP. Okay. So because there is no limit to procurement, this results in over procurement. Okay. And which is generally beyond the storage limits of FCI, and which is generally beyond the amount of food grain needed to implement PDS. For example, in the financial year 2020-2021, there was a demand for 63 million tons of food grains for the implementation of PDS scheme. But in this open-ended procurement, FCI ended up procuring 130 million tons of food grains, right? So there is a huge issue regarding the procurement, so there is a huge cost regarding the cost of procurement of this surplus food grains, the cost of storage of these food grains, and the cost of transportation of these food grains. Okay, so this is one of the major issues in public distribution system, that is open-ended procurement, right? Now let's come to the second leg of public distribution system, that is storage. Now since we saw that there is an enormous or surplus amount of procurement under the system, which naturally leads to the issues of storage. Now as we all know that government lacks adequate warehouses. Okay, so there is inadequate warehousing or storage facility with the government. This leads to the wastage of food grains, or the food grains rots in FCIs, okay, in the makeshift arrangement to store them. Hence, we can say that other issue is regarding storage of these food grains. Now, let's come to the third issue, which is regarding the transportation of these food grains. Now, what happens is that when these food grains are transported from central government, from FCI to the state governments, or when they are transported from the state government to the fair price shops, then what happens is that there is certain kind of black marketing, we can say, right? So because black marketing, and the appropriate word would be leakages. So there are certain kind of leakages in the transportation of these food grains, and as a result what happens is that this defeats the purpose of public distribution system, as it does not benefit the beneficiaries, and this also leads to higher the it also leads to loss of revenue for the central government. Okay, so this is the issue with transportation, basically with leakages of food grains, right? Now another issue is regarding distribution. Now in this, what are the issue? There are issues regarding inclusion and exclusion. Now what happens is that many a times in such in the public distribution system, there are some intended beneficiaries, real beneficiaries, which are excluded because of either some issues in their digital cards. Now earlier there was ration card, but now there have been linking of Aadhaar card with ration card. So there are some kinds of, so there may be some kind of issues in their biometric, or some kind of issues regarding which the real beneficiaries may be excluded from enjoying the benefits under PDS scheme. Okay, and other issues may be there is the issue of ghost beneficiaries. Ghost beneficiaries are superficial beneficiaries who may enjoy the benefits under this scheme. Another is that there are some illegal illegit beneficiaries which also enjoy benefit under the scheme, but they are not the intended, they may not be the real beneficiaries regarding it. So these are the issues regarding distribution. Okay, this so in simple words, the real beneficiaries may not get the intended benefits of public distribution system because of this inclusion or exclusion error. Okay. Now let's look another important issue, which is the issue of food subsidy bill. Now the food subsidy bill regarding the procurement of food grains is growing year by year. So in the last fiscal year, the food subsidy bill of the government mounted 5% of the total budget of the government. In terms of GDP, we can say it is approximately, the food subsidy bill for procurement of food grains is approximately equal to 1% of GDP of the country, approximately. So let us see what are the reasons for this higher food subsidy bill. So the first reason, as we already discussed, is open-ended procurement policy, because of which there is a surplus procurement of food grains with the government, with FCI, and this results to the higher food subsidy bill. And the other issue is leakages, transportation and distribution, because of which this cost a lot to the government and it raises the food subsidy bill of the government. Other problem is higher minimum support prices, and because of this higher MSP, sometimes what happen that MSP may increase, but for example sometimes there is surplus production and the cost of that commodity in open market is less, but government has already promised a higher MSP, and that in that sense government has to procure that commodity in higher MSP or minimum selling price, and because of which there may be loss or there may be a higher food subsidy bill. Okay. Other issue is regarding higher coverage of beneficiaries under National Food Security Act as compared to targeted public distribution system. Now, as we already saw that in National Food Security Act, it intends to provide food security to two-thirds of Indian population, right? 50% of urban and 75% of rural. But in the targeted public distribution system, the targeted public distribution system divides the beneficiaries under two categories: below poverty line and above poverty line. So some individuals who are in above poverty line, they may also enjoy the benefits of these subsidized food grains. Okay. And because of this, there is a higher coverage of beneficiaries in National Food Security Act as compared to the levels in targeted public distribution system. And because of this, this also leads to higher food subsidy bill for the government. And another important issue is non-revision of central issue price. So central issue price is a price in which the consumers buy these subsidized food grains from the state governments. Now, when the National Food Security Act was passed in the year 2013, these prices were kept at, for example, for wheat was given at rupees 3 per kg, rupees 2 per kg, and rice was given at rupees 3 per kg. Okay. Now these prices are considerably low, and this was aimed to revised after 3 years, but this price revision, but there has been a non-revision of central issue price, right? And because of which there is a higher food subsidy burden to the government. And now another, finally, there is a uniform central issue price for below poverty line and above poverty line population. So one of the recommendations of Shanta Kumar committee, which was a high level committee regarding the which oversaw the working of Food Corporation of India. So this committee said that there should not be a uniform central issue price for below poverty line population and above poverty line population. For below poverty line households, the pricing should be lower, which is at now, as it is now, and for the above poverty line population, the pricing should be increased up to 50% of MSP, right? So this is what Shanta Kumar committee recommended. And so in total, we can see that these are the 5 major issues in the public distribution system, right? And now let's see what is a way forward in this regard. We have seen these reasons. So let's start with our procurement issues. As we saw that there are issues in procurement, there was a open-ended procurement. So one measure that can be adopted is that there should be decentralized procurement of food grains. Now, around 16 states of India have adopted decentralized procurement for certain food grains. So the central government should encourage other states to adopt decentralized procurement. Now, what is decentralized procurement is that the state governments itself procure and store food grains directly from the farmers. Like presently, FCI is procuring food grains from the farmers. Now, FCI should not procure, but the state government should directly procure the food grains from the farmers, right? Now, what happens is that, now, what is the benefit of decentralized procurement? The first thing is that such kind of procedure is very flexible, right? As the population of certain state may have certain food choices. And if the state government of that state is going to procure food grains, it may be suited to their food choices. Another thing is, so this is flexibility. Other thing is that this will reduce the dependence of state governments on Food Corporation of India. So this will reduce dependence on Food Corporation of India. And further, the most important thing is that this may bring efficiency in the procurement of food grains, as this will cut cost of procurement, this will cut cost of storage and transport. Okay. So this is the benefit of decentralized procurement, which is being which is underway, but more states should be encouraged to adopt decentralized procurement. And now, second thing, the second way forward is that there should be a closed ended procurement. As we already saw, what is open ended procurement? So, in closed ended procurement, it is a certain kind of rationalized procurement. That is, there should be a set limit to the buffer stock limits, and over the buffer stock limit, there should be no procurement, right? So, we can say that there should be rationalized procurement, or there should be or some limit to procurement by the central government. Okay, so this is closed procurement. And the third important measure could be by revising the central issue price, which we already saw that these prices are not revised since 10 years now, and so there should be a revision of central issue prices in order to reduce the cost, the food subsidy burden by the central government. And other this was and other measure can be, this was one of the recommendations of Shanta Kumar committee, that the beneficiaries should be given 6 months of entitlement altogether. That is, in a single go, the beneficiary should be given 6 months of entitlement. So this will save the storage cost of the government. So this could be one way to reduce the storage cost of the food grains. And other way could be that government should invest in creating adequate warehousing facilities, right? And government should rope in private investors to create adequate warehousing facilities. So private investment is one route which government can adopt, right? And another measures could be tech based interventions. So what are tech based interventions? Like we saw that there, like in transportations, there were some issues regarding the leakages of food grains. So there can be GPS tracking of the trucks which are transporting the food grains, in order to check or minimize the leakages. And the smart cards, which we already saw, that should be launched. Okay, and presently India has one nation one ration card scheme. This is a more inclusive scheme which includes migrant workers also. So this is a positive step in providing the benefits of food of public distribution system to the beneficiaries. And and the finally we can say that one important initiative could be by providing direct benefit transfer in public distribution system. This means that instead of providing food grains to the consumers, there should be a particular amount or particular cash transfer that could be given to these consumers. Now let's see what are now direct benefit transfer. Now what let's see what are the benefits of direct benefit transfer. The first benefit will be that this would reduce the leakages, right? Presently there is a issues of leakages or such kind of scam which we saw. The PDS scam is ongoing in various states. So in case if we don't provide consumers with food grains, but we provide them with certain with subsidy or cash transfer or certain kind of food coupons, then this will prevent the leakages, right? As this will reduce diversion of food grains. Okay. The second benefit is that this will cut the cost, right? This will cut the cost of procurement, this will cut the cost of transportation, and this will cut the cost of storage. So this would be a more efficient way which can be adopted by the central government, right? The third important benefit by adopting direct benefit transfer is that this can ensure food choices to the states, like the consumers who are getting cash transfers, they can buy the food grains of their own choice or the food items of their own choice, right? And they may not be limited to the items which are being supplied in the public distribution system. So, and the fourth benefit is that this would be inclusive, as this can even cover migrants. Sometimes migrants cannot enjoy the benefits of public distribution system when they are in any other state apart from their home state. But if they are provided cash transfers instead of food grains, then this would be more inclusive, and they may get they may enjoy they may buy food grains or food items of their choice. Now, having said this, there are some issues in direct benefit transfer in public distribution system. Okay, now let's understand what are these issues. The first issue is inflation, right? That is, the cash amount which is fixed uh, in any particular year, it should be revised after some years to adjust to the inflation. If it is not adjusted to inflation, then the cash amount would not be adequate to buy appropriate food grains, right? So this may be an issue to check if the price is inflation adjusted. Okay, and the second issue may be that the transfer of cash to the people, to the consumers, to buy food grains may result in misuse, as they may divert this money to buy non food items, right? So this may defeat the purpose to provide food security and nutritional security, which is the purpose of public distribution system, right? Now there is a practice question for you which you can solve. The question says that the public distribution system needs to be financially sustainable while meeting food security needs. In the light of this statement, discuss reforms to be carried out in the public distribution system. So you can solve this, so you can attempt this question. So this was all regarding the issues in food distribution in public distribution system. Now let's start. Now let's see the final article for today, which was regarding this news which appeared on the Hindu or and Indian Express also. This is regarding the trial of former Navy veterans of India which have been sentenced to death in Qatar. Qatar has sentenced to death Indian former Navy veterans in the charges of espionage, okay, in the charges of spying. Now, in this context, we should analyze India-Qatar relations. Now, this topic is important for our GS paper 2 for the subject international relations under the syllabus head bilateral, regional, and global groupings and agreements involving India and or affecting India's interest. And in this regard, we saw a question in 2017. We said that the question of India's energy security constitutes most important part of India's economic progress. Analyze India's energy policy cooperation with West Asian country. So we are talking about Qatar today, which is a West Asian country. So in the backdrop of this article, let's discuss India-Qatar relations. Now before proceeding, let's first see the location of Qatar. Now this is Qatar. This is a peninsular country and this is located in West Asia, or we can also say this is located in Middle East. So if we see the boundaries of this country, Qatar is surrounded on three sides by Persian Gulf and it shares its land border with Saudi Arabia. So in this map, this is not clear, but let's see another map. In this map, in the next map, you can see that this is Qatar, this is Persian Gulf, surrounded on three sides by Persian Gulf, and by one side, this is surrounded by Saudi Arabia. And you can see United Arab Emirates here. So this could be a trick question in UPSC, where you can see that UAE does not share border with Qatar, or Qatar does not share border with United Arab Emirates. Okay. So in summary, Qatar shares borders with Persian Gulf and Saudi Arabia, right? Now, based on first map, we can see one important location. Sorry for the issue here. So we can see another important location, which is Strait of Hormuz. Now, this is an important choke point, which connects. This is an important oil choke point, and this is a strategically important location, which connects Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. Okay, and this is the only entry to the Persian Gulf countries to the Arabian Sea, right? And this is Qatar. Qatar is an oil rich country. And Qatar is also rich in natural gas. Okay, this country's economy is major based on the exporting oil and natural gas. Okay, and these are the important, and this in image which you can see, this is the map of a natural gas reserve or oil field, a natural gas field in Qatar. And this is the maritime boundary, this is the maritime boundary between Qatar and Iran. Okay, so this is a gas field which is shared between Qatar and Iran, and this is the largest natural gas field of the world. Okay, and Qatar is among the largest importer of natural gas to India. Now, if we see now let's see the dimensions of India-Qatar relations. If we see, India and Qatar have diplomatic relations since the year 1973. So, more than 50 years have been passed since the formation of diplomatic relations between these two countries, and the diplomatic relations between the countries are fairly good. Okay, now there is an issue between, which is a diplomatic issue regarding the trial and the sentence to death which has been awarded to the veterans, to the Navy veterans of India. Now this may be a diplomatic issue or a foreign policy issue for India, and India needs to handle it carefully. But if we in general talk about India-Qatar relationship, it has been cordial, and the diplomatic relationship has been found since year 1973. Okay, so primarily, what is the basis of this relationship with Qatar? The primary basic is economic partnership between the two countries, right? And if we talk about the economic partnership, we can see that the economics of the balance of trade between the two nations is shifted heavily in the favor of Qatar. Okay, and if we talk about the major items of export to Qatar, India export cereals to Qatar, machinery and electronics. Okay, and if we talk about the items which we import from Qatar, the major items which we import from Qatar are oil, natural gas, and that is liquefied natural gas, plastics, and other petroleum based organic chemicals. And the balance of trade between these two countries is shifted in the favor of Qatar. Okay, now in order to see this, let's see this graphics. Now this is the value, $16.81 billion was the value of India's total imports from Qatar in financial year 23, right? It was more than 16 billion. And in this, India's LNG imports were around 50%. India is the major importer. India is the major importer of liquefied natural gas from Qatar. Now let's see what is natural gas. What is natural gas? Natural gas is a fossil fuel, and this is a non-renewable source of energy, right? And one important fact about natural gas is that this is less polluting, not non-polluting. This is less polluting as compared to fossil fuels like other fossil fuels. This is also a fossil fuel. So this is less polluting as compared to other fossil fuels like crude oil, petroleum and coal, right? And less polluting in the sense that the combustion of natural gas has lower carbon dioxide emission, and this has lower nitrogen dioxide emissions and sulfur dioxide emissions. Okay, so lower, lesser greenhouse gaseous emissions as compared to the burning of oil and coal. Okay, and now why natural gas is important for India? This is because India aims to transition to a net neutral country. Okay, so there is an ambitious goal of India to achieve carbon net neutrality. Okay, this is by the year 2070. India aims to become carbon net neutral, and for this, India has to increase the share of renewable energy in its energy mix. Okay, the share of renewable energy in India's energy mix has to be increased, which is presently dominated by coal. But since we know that renewable energy like solar energy and wind energy is not a stable source of energy, right? So for this transition, to facilitate this transition, India needs natural gas or liquefied natural gas. So what is liquefied natural gas? Liquefied natural gas is the compressed version of natural gas and it is converted into liquid. And this is very much easier to ship in containers. Okay. And presently, in the India's energy mix, 6% contribution, the natural gas has a contribution of 6%, and the ambitious target of India aims to increase the share of natural gas in its energy mix to 15% by the year 2030, right? So, for in order to ensure the energy security, and we also know the fact that India is the third largest energy consumer nation after USA and China. So, we have a great demand for energy and which could be facilitated by the use of natural gas or liquefied natural gas. Now, where does this natural gas in India come from? Okay, the 50% of natural gas in India, uh, we produce 50% of natural gas in India. We have resources in Bombay High, in Arabian Sea, and in Godavari and in Kaveri Godavari Basin, Krishna Godavari Basin, right? But 50% of natural gas in India comes from domestic reserves, and around 50% of natural gas in India is imported. Okay, and in this import, if we see, the largest partner of this import is Qatar. As we can see from this graphics that around 50% of natural gas in the financial year 2023 was imported from Qatar. So we can see that Qatar is strategically important for us in order to ensure energy security to India. Okay. So to ensure energy security, India is reliant on Qatar, right? And now, if we talk about India-Qatar relationship, if you continue talking about it, another kind of engagement is certain kind of military engagement between the two countries. And in order to fulfill it, India and Qatar signed a maritime defense agreement in the year 2008, and there has been a limited maritime engagement between these countries, and this is regarding the security, maritime security. This engagement is regarding basically and energy security, to ensure maritime security and to ensure energy security. And there has been a joint naval exercise between these two countries in the year 2019 also. Now, coming further, let's see an important component of this relationship is the diaspora, Indian diaspora or Indian expatriates which live in Qatar. 25% of population of Qatar, or we can say that Indian population, we can say that Indian expatriates, and which comprises of NRIs or people of Indian origin, they make around 25% of Qatar population, which is approximately 8 lakh people. And there is a such kind of diversity in this population that this not only involve people engaged in blue collar jobs, but they also make a significant part of Qatar's economy, Qatar's finance or healthcare services. They also provide healthcare services and hospitality, and they're also engaged in other jobs apart from blue collar jobs. Okay, and one and an important advantage regarding the contribution of India's diaspora is that remittances which we get from Qatar. In the year 2022, Qatar was among the top 10 remittances country, the top 10 destination, the top 10 countries which provided remittance to India, and India got around 14 billion in remittances from Qatar in the year 2022. So this is significantly important for India in order to get remittances, right? So this is what there are other factors also in the India-Qatar relationship, that is cultural exchange between these nations. But these are the significant pointers or significant angles based on which significant anchor based on which the India-Qatar relationship is based, right? And the other important thing which was discussed in this article is that the Qatar is a maverick. Qatar holds a significant geostrategic position in Middle East. Let us see this briefly. As we know that Qatar holds an important strategic or geopolitical position in Middle East. Now this is because the first reason is Qatar is rich in oil and gas. It is an oil and gas rich nation. And another important thing is that despite being a conservative Islamic country, the country has done a great balancing act. And this can be seen from the fact that the country balances US on one hand, China on other hand. It also balances Turkey, Iran and India. Now Iran, you know that we all are aware about the historical differences or rivalry, whatever you can say, between US and Iran, US and Russia. And such is the diplomacy of Qatar that it is balancing all these countries together, and it has a great diplomatic relations between these countries and also with Iran, which the countries in Middle East have so relationship with. Iran is a Iran is a Shia country, right? So this is the balancing act of Qatar, and through which it makes great diplomatic relations between these countries. It balances it. And apart from this balancing act, Qatar is also infamous for its Qatar has a significant soft power over other nations. This is regarding the sports of the nation, engagement in sports, regarding the higher education institutions in the country, and regarding the presence of media. You must have heard of Al Jazeera, which is a major which is a major television or media outlet in Qatar, which is owned by Qatar, and it is a major opinion former in the Middle East, right? So this is the soft power of this nation, seemingly small nation, but this has enormous diplomatic and soft power, right? And this nation, and this has been done because this nation has remained independent, right? This has not formed any kind of, this has not fallen under, or this has refused to line up with Saudi Arabia, which is a major power in this region. And so we can say that this is a middle power, significant middle power in Middle East. Apart from this, Qatar is also infamous for certain other reasons, like Qatar is famous for giving hostages to certain terrorists. Like Qatar is given hostages to Hamas. Qatar is accused to have given hostages to Muslim Brotherhood, to give hostages to other terrorists like that of Taliban group. So based on these reasons, and Qatar has history of giving hostages to this terrorist organization, and despite this, it has good diplomatic relations between all these nations, right? Now, the context of today's article. So we have to. It would be a litmus test of India's diplomacy to see how India is going to handle this matter regarding regarding the preservation of interest of India's ex mariners or ex veterans, navy veterans. So let's see. We will see in future how the case proceeds, right? So that's all for today's discussion, and thank you.